Today's OBM Spotlight is a little different, but in the best way. Muneeba Brooks didn't just step into the OBM role, she rebuilt her life around it. As a single mom, a seasoned operations expert, and a business owner with heart and grit, Muneeba's story is raw and real, and it's a real look at what happens when life throws you curveballs and you decide to rise anyways. Muneeba, I'm so thrilled and excited and privileged to have you on the podcast, on the YouTube channel. I'm interviewing you for a day in the life. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm so excited to be here.
So a little bit of a dramatic entry, but I think what I want to really showcase here is that, you've shared with me throughout your journey that your world changed overnight. So can you walk us through, what that moment was like and really how it shaped your decision to go all in with OBM work?
Yeah. So I think just leading up to that, giving a little bit of background. So my career has been so diverse, so varied. So I've worked in accounting and healthcare. I did retail. I did operations, HR, EA. I was in marketing. I was a VA. I did a bit of everything. And it was a really great experience. And then I had my daughter and I made the conscious decision with my partner at the time that I was going to be a stay-at-home mom. So with that in mind, as she got older, she started, she was 4 years old going into school. I started taking on some VA work and I was like, oh, I can do this part-time. It's fine. And then of course, life comes at you fast. It comes at you hard. And overnight, I found myself in a situation where I was a single mom. And it was such a shock to the system. Because you don't plan for things like this to happen when it happens so suddenly. And I was grieving, my daughter's grieving, and then reality hits and you're like, oh, wait, I've got to figure out how to pay the bills after all of this, because it's not like there's a network of support. There isn't like, oh, I'm going to get all this child support. I'm going to get all this alimony. That is not even an option. And I'm thinking about it and it's just wondering, how am I going to make this work? So as my brain works is and I know this is crazy and it sounds a little bit unhinged, but I did a SWOT analysis on my situation.
Of course.
And I was looking at it and I'm like, okay, so this is what I have going. This is what I need to improve. Okay, how am I going to make all these pieces work? And to be honest, even though I was working as a VA at the time, that wasn't my first inclination to say, I'm going to continue being a VA. The first thing in my brain was, I need to find a job. So then I started navigating the system. So you go out and you're like, okay, I need someone to care for my daughter. I need daycare. Now you're looking at daycare options and everyone has a waiting list or they have limited availability or we can only do it Tuesdays and Thursdays. Are you okay with that? And I'm thinking about the way this system is set up and no, I wasn't on a waiting list and I wasn't even entertaining this before, but I'm trying to rebuild my life right now. And I can't, because what employer is going to be out there and saying, oh yeah, I know you only have childcare Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's fine. We'll go ahead and, set your schedule around your availability. Nobody's going to say that. So I started thinking even further and I was like, okay, so I got to dig into this VA work. But then immediately off the bat, I knew that I was working with an agency at the time and I knew that this would not be enough to support myself and my daughter. Being a sole provider in a crazy inflationary economic environment like Canada is, you can't always survive on a single income. So it's like, okay, what do I do from here? So I went all in because getting employment outside the house, it was just not going to work. There was no feasible way that I could see that I could make it work, especially given that my daughter is very routine based and, got to make sure that when there are any changes, everything else stays the same. So she can then navigate the part that feels like it's out of control. So registered my business and I was online and I'm looking for options. I'm like, how do I position myself? I've done so many things. As a VA, you're kind of expected to be the jack of all trades. So I was like, okay, let's see. Maybe I can turn this into something full time. And then that's when I came across it was actually the accelerator program. And I looked at it and I was listening to what you were saying and it dawned on me that I was already doing that.
Yeah, you're like, wait a second. I'm already doing all of these things because of life prior to being a VA, correct?
Exactly. So I thought and I never knew what an OBM was. I never knew that even existed. I thought that was just a really good VA. But then with the reframe and the repositioning, I was like, you know what? I am actually doing strategy work. A client is coming up to me and telling me their pain points and saying, I need to fix this because I'm spending hours in spreadsheets. Okay. So then I would always do the analysis, take a look, what's going on, what's not working, build a system around it, implement the tech. Yeah, exactly. And that was it's just my natural inclination to do that. So when I came across, OBM school, I was like, wait, that's me.
This feels
I'm
like
doing this now.
Yeah. I had that same feeling, by the way. I was like, OBM, I can align myself with that. I can feel confident about calling myself that as well. I want to go back to something really amazing that you mentioned about your transferable skills and sort of being able to look back at your journey as not just an entrepreneur, but as working in a corporate job, life in general. Was there a few transferable skills that you can, because I always find that when everyone listens to our day in the lives, there's always something that clicks like, oh, I have that transferable skill, or, oh, I didn't realize how valuable that was in the grand scheme of being an OBM. Is there a transferable skill that you can point out, or maybe even a few that you were like, oh, this was something that really made it for me or really helped me in my OBM journey?
I think having worked, oh my gosh, I can pull on almost every single role that I've worked in.
Wow.
I can pull skills from every single one of them. Like being an executive assistant, like you're practically an ops director.
I hear this all the time. Yes.
Yes.
People ask me, I've been an executive assistant. I've managed budgets. I've been the right hand to the CEO. I'm like, continue.
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, you're an OBM. You just don't know it yet. And I mean, even working with a marketing agency, same thing,
Right.
So many transferable skills
So
from there.
Was the marketing agency your VA role? Was that like the VA piece?
So that was actually a business that I had with my daughter's father. So we were working on that together and, carrying on that business after I became a single parent. It wasn't something I wanted to do because, when you're building a business, you're building your life, your emotions, your life force is tied up in it. And it just didn't feel right. There was just so much hurt and pain there that I couldn't continue in that line, with a marketing agency and marketing, just selling that as a service. It's just something it was a bit of a sore spot. So that wasn't an option for me. So I had to really strip it all down and rebuild from a place of strength. And that was,
I love that. That's
hard.
That's so empowering. And that's so, I think, powerful and inspirational for people to know that you can rebuild, that you can start again. And that, when your why, and I know we were talking a little bit about this at the beginning before we hit record, but that when your why is strong enough, you can really make anything happen.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely.
Yeah.
And that's the really cool thing about being an OBM is you make the rules. So you're not on anyone else's timeline. You're not on anyone else's policies. You decide how much you want to take on. You decide what your capacity is. You decide how you're going to build your business around things that you value and treasure. And the sky's the limit. Once you realize that this is really your thing and you can do whatever you want with it.
So talk to me now that you've built more structure and freedom into your business with this, I guess, newer iteration. And I also want to touch on the marketing piece because I know that marketing is a really painful point. And I think a point that really stops people in their tracks from pursuing, the quote unquote online business space because digital marketing can be intimidating. So could you sort of go into what a typical day looks like and really how the marketing feeds? Because I love marketing. I mean, I think we both do. So I'd love for you to sort of speak to how you structure your day and maybe even what your services look like.
I mean, as far as every single day, I use time blocking religiously. So, because it's very important to be able to be there for my daughter. So I'm an early riser anyway. I'm up before the crack of dawn. So that's when I start my day. So that morning time is just focusing on what do I have going on in the day? Priority setting. Is there some admin tasks I need to get done? Something light, something easy. I get about a good 90 minutes in before I start my routine with my daughter. Then, it's getting her up, getting her lunch prepared, getting her off to school. And then when she's off to school, that's when my day really ramps up. And that's when I've got my deep focus work, my strategy, my client meetings. I know this is kind of touching on pulling a thread from another direction, but a lot of my clients are neurodiverse. And that wasn't something I actually sought out. I didn't say, okay, I'm going to work with people who are neurodiverse. It kind of just came. And I structure my day around that as well, where sometimes my clients need like a 15-minute daily touch point at the same time every single day to keep them accountable. So I have those scheduled in as well. And I really enjoy it. And then at the end of the day, shut it off, go get my daughter. We come home, we relax, decompress. She, needs time to just like chill after her day at school. Yeah, exactly. And then, we take her off to her extracurriculars, whatever else she has going on. Every now and then, if there's something like playing on my mind that I'm like, I have to get that down because it's like an itch I need to scratch. I'll put in a couple hours in the evening when she's like, just relaxing. But again, even that, it's not like I have to do it. It's just the way my brain works sometimes. Sometimes the switch clicks in and then it's like, oh, okay, I got to do this. And I hop in and I go ahead and get it done. But then you get your weekends back. You get when there's days off from school, you get those days back. And, you can really work a flexible schedule. So
yeah, I love that. So like the time blocking is definitely something that I really, really subscribe to. I don't know how I lived my life before then. I think also as someone who really likes, I know you're the same. We love what we do. And so sometimes like, just like you were saying, unhinged, I get like unhinged with my, kind of like tapping into the early hours of the morning and I'm still working. So I love what you were saying about time blocking for specific clients and then also having those check-in points. And so those systems that you've put in place to sort of protect that rhythm. And then from time to time coming on in the evening, which was also my time to jam, my time to shine, put the kids to sleep, back on for a few hours. And it's just a really nice way to kind of have control over everything. So I love that. And it's so interesting to me about the neurodivergent clients because I'm no doctor or I'm definitely not going to, speak as someone who really knows a lot about this, but it feels to me just based on my conversations with other OBMs that there's plenty of entrepreneurs out there that are very neurodivergent. So it's interesting that you've sort of, it's becoming this sort of like a niche that's kind of growing out of everything. Would you say that they're typically in a specific kind of business or are they in all different kinds of businesses? And are you still sort of focused on marketing or is it just, marketing strategy, operational strategy, all the whole gamut of being an OBM?
So I think when it comes to my neurodiverse clients, they're not in one single industry. It's really, I have clients who are in the therapeutic field. I have clients who are actually operational strategists themselves.
Oh, wow.
I have clients who are in nonprofit, clients who are in finance. So it's all over the place. But again, like with neurodiversity, it's so cool. And that's why I really enjoy working with my neurodiverse clients is because I learn something all the time and every single one of them are so brilliant.
Yes.
In the best way, even though the neurodiversity part of it kicks in and sometimes things become a bit chaotic and sometimes the energy capacity is just not there for that day. So, okay, now how do I still move the needle forward when my brain is not switching on? And kind of helping them through that and supporting them through that. It's been amazing.
It's really cool. Such an important thing. It's like you're really becoming the container for them to pour, their visionary ideas and, that sometimes I think really do need structuring. So I think that's so amazing that you've been able to provide that service to different kinds of entrepreneurs.
One of my neurodivergent clients, when I first met this client, they were talking about how personal it feels when you bring someone into your business.
Yes.
Because you're inviting them into your life. Ooh. You're basically putting your destiny in their hands in a way. And they were very hesitant about bringing someone on because it felt so personal to them. And I really resonated that. It's like, yeah, that's actually true. Even when I'm looking at my business and my clients and who I decide to take on, because thankfully, I now have the luxury of being selective of who I decide to take on my caseload. And it's true because one client can impact your mental health really, really well, or it can tear you down completely. So being able to protect your space and your mental creativity by selecting the clients that you want to work with and your clients selecting you, it's just an amazing thing. It's so cool.
Yeah. And would you say that your, just personal experience in life has really just helped, like guided your intuition on how you support your neurodivergent or even overwhelmed clients? Was it something that's sort of like intuitive with you that you feel?
I think it was because neurodiversity has played a large part in my personal life, so it's something that I've had to navigate through my own experience and, people that I love. And somehow, I think we kind of find each other in a way. Yeah. A lot of my clients have come through referrals, actually.
Yeah,
and
I love that. Like, what an amazing, yes. So critical. Good, solid, juicy word of mouth clients.
Yeah, exactly. And that's honestly, that's my entire caseload is referrals. I might have one that I did an in-person event with and decided to take them on as a client, but wow, they're all referrals and they're all kind of networked with each other. So it's actually really cool because when they talk about it, they're like, oh yeah, and such is doing this and I'm going to work with them on this project. And you're like, I know, because I'm involved in that project. Yeah. So it's really cool. And the synergy that brings, it's amazing.
I love that. I think that's just so important to really highlight what success looks like because you're 2 years out of the accreditation program, accredited OBM, and you're just experiencing this wonderful thing that happens when you work with the right clients and you hold out and you intuitively choose the people that resonate with you. And then that just continues to compound when more wonderful clients come your way and they're just aligned. Exactly. There's nothing more magical than that. So you've gone from, let's just say it like it is, this $18 an hour VA work, working in an agency to more of a project-based, retainer-based OBM packages. Was there a specific mindset shift that helped you like bridge that gap or make that leap into higher value retainer packages?
That transition was probably more messy than I would have wanted it to be.
Be honest. Yeah. Well, there's a lot
really,
of ways making the leap.
Given what was going on in my life at the time, and it's like when you're dealt with that kind of shock, imposter syndrome is more likely to creep in because you're just in that mind space. Everything's fallen apart in my life. How can anything else go well? And it was funny. I can't remember where I saw it, if it was on LinkedIn or something. It was an experiment that someone had done like way back in the day. The grainy video that they ended up posting is they had a class full of students and they, unbeknownst to the students, they split it in half. They had 3 multiple choice questions on a piece of paper. And on one side, it was easy questions. It was like 3 words like book and lamp and now circle the B and circle the this. And the last question was something a little bit more difficult. And then on the other side of the class, they gave them 2 questions that were impossible to answer. And there was no way they were going to get that right. And then the third question was the same as the other side of the class. So at the end of it, they were like, okay, so who was able to answer the first question? And then the one side all put their hands up because it's something easy. And this side's looking and they're like
what?
No, what? How did you get that? Same thing with the second one. And then the third one, it was the same question on both papers, but the one side of the class that had the easy questions, they all put their hand up. And the other side of the class that didn't have the easy questions, nobody put their hands up because they were already so defeated from question 1 and question 2 that there was no way in their mind. They didn't have that mindset. They were like, it's already too hard. Yeah, I can't do it. And they're looking and they're feeling defeated.
Fixed mindset. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't do this. And then when they revealed it, of course, the class was like, oh my gosh, really? Wow. But that really spoke to me on life experience is that when you're going through something that's, for all intents and purposes, pretty traumatic.
Yes.
You don't feel like you have what it takes to move ahead. So going back to the rates, it was a hard journey because it's like, okay, as a VA in an agency, I am making $18 an hour. Is someone even going to pay me more than that?
Yes.
Because my clients right now, well, they're really happy with what I do. But if I charge more, I'm probably not going to get. And then it's that self-defeating mindset that you have to really get out of. So it's a process of healing and going back, and actually the content from OBM school helped me so much, because I've gone back to it 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, because
it looks different every time.
Throughout the year, it's like you start to heal more, and then you learn more about yourself, and then you feel more confident, and then something goes right. And then you go back again, and then you look at it, and then something goes right. And then you start to build on top of that. And then eventually I felt confident enough to be like, you know what? Let's do this.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do it. Like, rip the Band-Aid off. Stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stop it. Rip the Band-Aid off. Just go and do it. And I did. So very bumpy terrain leading up to it. But then eventually I was
as is life, right? Yeah. And I think that, I always say it, and I'm going to say it here, that it really is like a life journey being an entrepreneur. It's part of your experience of life, and it's so connected to your day to day. And what feels most empowering to you now? Is it the work that you do? Is it the clients that you serve? Or is it really just the way you show up each day? Like, what is the most empowering thing?
Being in control. To be honest, that is the most empowering thing, coming from that place of chaos where it felt like the world was ripped out from underneath me. And there were so many things I could not control. But now having the luxury to choose the people I want to work with, having the luxury to set my own schedule, having the luxury to charge the rates that I want to charge. If I feel like I want to take a day off just because, I can do that. And having those options and having control over that, I think that's been the biggest thing for me.
I love that. That's just incredible, because I know we're all a little bit control freakish, right? We want to have a handle on things. And it really, the beginning of building an OBM business feels out of control. Like, I think it, whether you are coming from corporate or you're working in an agency or you're coming from that VA transition, it always feels very chaotic. So I think it's so lovely to sort of highlight that feeling where you're like, oh, I finally feel like I've got a little bit more control over my life, my flexibility, the freedom to spend time with your daughter, to, build this amazing life that you've always dreamed of. So I think that's just so incredible to have that control and that wisdom. Is there anything else that you think really sort of lends to your success as an OBM?
I think, and I know I've said this before, it's the people that I've met throughout this entire journey. So in OBM school, you have your accountability pod, and I met the most wonderful women, and we still talk almost every day.
I love this. Yes.
Yeah. And the networking is really what made it, and that's what got me through my most difficult time of the year, because I kind of be like, oh my gosh, this problem just happened. And then they'd be like, are you crazy? And they call you out on it so quick. And you're like, okay, hold on. Maybe there's something to it. And that's the best part, is build that network, because when you're in the online space, sometimes you do get a bit isolated. And unless you're going out and doing networking meetings,
usually we're not, right? Generally speaking, our personality is like, we are back end people, right?
Exactly. But it helps to get that outside perspective.
It's critical to be amongst other like-minded entrepreneurs. Really is uplifting and can get you, you can't see the label from inside the bottle. It's another thing I always love to say, but that's why we need accountability, and we need like-minded individuals around us to lift us up and make us better. And I don't know, to me, it felt so counterintuitive, I think, because I'm like a grumpy, like, I want to be by myself kind of person. And like, but it's good for you. And the community is there to help you, even though you feel like, well, I'd rather spend 3 hours like figuring this out on my own than asking the people around me. Like, it's just so critical. So I love that you're highlighting the accountability pods, because I think that so many OBMs in our community I talk to tell me that they are still in touch. This is 2 years later, right, Muneeba? 2 years later, You're still, connecting regularly with these wonderful human beings that you met inside of OBM school. And that's really the magical underlying thing that I can't harp enough on about, but it's hard to explain it. It's like community. Well, community sometimes feels overrated, but not when it comes to doing hard things like being an entrepreneur.
Exactly. And the cool thing is, it's not just about, we network and we chat. we work together too. Like I've taken on a project with another one of
Oh,
the OBMs. I've
wow.
gotten client work from some of the OBMs. I've given client
Amazing.
work to other OBMs. I've had an OBM say, you know what? This tech thing is just driving me crazy. Could you give it a second look? Of course I can. So it becomes that network that's not just about, oh, let's talk to each other and keep in touch. We're actually working and we're moving each other's businesses forward, and it becomes a very collaborative thing. So that is absolutely priceless to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And that just, it makes me so happy because this is what it's all about. And it can be really isolating. Like, let's be honest. Do you ever, I know that you have a lot of word of mouth referral, but has there been other ways that you want to share today that maybe have helped you find clients?
Other than word of mouth, my next most successful thing, weirdly enough, even though I'm in the online space, was an in-person event.
Yes. Yeah.
So
isn't that strange?
it's so weird. It really is. But when you get to go in person, they get to see you and listen to you talk. And it's just a different experience. And then when you talk about hiring an OBM and what that looks like, and sometimes, again, in this lovely economic inflationary environment that we have going on here, people are looking to cut costs. And if they can bring on a fractional director of operations to handle their thing, yeah, they're going to do that. So I think in person has been the most successful for me. And of course, I still go back and I touch on, my social media channels are all humor. It's all just for fun. It's
That's
basically
good, though.
just
Well,
for the SEO.
yeah, thank you.
But
Thank you for saying
yeah.
that because let's speak more to that because as not the most social people in town, how do you really mitigate the stress and the kind of I think just overthinking that comes with my social media needs to be solid and consistent and, wowing people. And then, I hear all the time, well, no one really likes my stuff. No one really comments on my stuff. But then I hear people say to me, well, no one likes and comments on my stuff. But then somebody kind of comes through and they've been sort of lurking on my social for a while.
I mean, if you look at my business, so my cat is on there.
Oh, I love
because my cat, every time I have a Zoom call, will hop on the desk and
well, where is she today?
He was sitting right in front of me and then he just hopped off.
Oh.
So it was below the view of the camera. But when this call started, yeah, he was in front of me when the call started. But and he does that. He makes an appearance. And sometimes it's at the most inopportune moment.
Is he on your website? Is he on your website? Good.
Sure is. He sure is. He is my office manager.
Yeah. Well, Kelly's on right now, but yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. So I kind of really leaned into that because
for you,
I had a complete mental block. What do I do? There are so many people sharing amazing things on LinkedIn, about how you set up this system and how this is so freeing. And I don't usually like to put my face out there. It's something that brings up a lot of anxiety. And I'm like, nobody wants to listen to what I have to say. But you know what? Let me lean into this because everybody likes a cat.
Yes.
And I did. And that's exactly what it is. So if you go on my Instagram and Facebook, it's the cat doing cat things. And he's laying on my desk or he's looking at, a Gantt chart on my computer screen.
Yeah.
So you just lean into that, have a bit of fun with it. And then that actually attracts that certain type of personality that I'm looking for in a client. And then they're like, hey, I saw your cat. Yeah. And you're like, yeah, Neo, that's my cat. He's great.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the in where you're not directly marketing saying, oh, if your systems are messed up, do this, or I suggest this, or hot tip, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Or pictures of me at my desk.
Exactly. And that's worked for me. And I know it's different for everybody based on how they want to run their business and what they want to do. But having my cat up there has been a bit of a lifesaver for me where I'm not anxious about it. And it's just so low pressure. And of course, animals are an endless source of content. So
yeah, I mean,
it's been fun.
This is gold. You're dropping gold right now, Muneeba, because I think there's probably a lot of people that are listening or watching this interview and going, yes, I have a cat or a dog and, I can, share about them and not even make it about your kids, right? Because not everybody wants to put their kids out there, and which is completely understandable. I know both you and I agree on that. But having animals and all that stuff is fun. And it really makes me think about when I started my business way back when social media was such a point of contention for me because I'm not a social person. I don't really look at myself as that creative as well when it comes to being socially creative, I guess. So I always looked at it as like this alter ego that I would be like, okay, it's like business Sarah. Business Sarah speaks a certain way and business Sarah holds space a certain way. But that's like wicked smart, Muneeba. Like to like make it about your cat and like go all in, I think is like one of the most like lighthearted, refreshing, fun things. Like it makes me like happy that you've been able to do that. Cause I think for a lot of your clients, they also, that's what they want to see as well, right? That's what resonates with them too. So you've been able to like just check all these boxes with something that normally is very, very restricting and upsetting and gross. And I think also puts people off. Is that, I see the tail.
That's
the tail is flashing.
Yep. He heard us talking about him.
There he is. There he is. You were talking about me. Hi.
He's like, I'm here.
You need to take like a screenshot of this and share it. I mean, I think that's just like the most wonderful thing. What other tips? See, like this is where I'm like, this little marketing, when we first initially connected way back when it's like from one marketer to the next. And marketing wasn't always my thing, but I think it is something that is just really a creative spark in people that helps you connect. So do you think, I mean, we spoke a little bit about transferable skills, but how does the marketing piece play into what you do with clients?
I think because I've kind of not necessarily niched, but I'm more the systems based. So if I see that, hey, you could do some marketing and you could use this, I'm not going to be the one to execute it, but I'm going to bring on somebody that will execute it. And then we build their team from there. And that's part of the team building that I end up doing with them. And it works out well because, I mean, there's so many talented freelancers out there. Like I've talked to so many amazing freelancers and they are so good at what they do.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm all about supporting people who want to do the freelance life. It's been life-changing for me. So absolutely. I want to support other freelancers that are out there. So yeah, that's usually how the conversation goes, where you could use this. And I know just the person that can fill this gap for you.
Yeah.
And that's how it goes.
Is it typically like a VA type role, or it can be all different kinds of things?
So, I mean, the people that I've interacted with it's kind of like they've made the transition from VA to this
like marketing freelancer. Yes,
exactly.
And maybe they have like a profession or a specific niche in a certain software. Is that sort of the vibe?
Exactly. So, and again, really looking for kind of what the client's looking for, like with some of my therapy clients that have a therapist practice, they're very social justice oriented. So they want someone not just who can do the thing, but whose personality also aligns with how they run their life and run their practice. And talking to freelancers that kind of have that, where again, it's not just about the product that you offer, it's about how you connect with other people. Because again, it's that very personal thing that happens when you're connecting one person to another, and then you're building something special together.
It's just such good vibes. It's such good, all that goodness, just paying it forward and making the world spin around, which again is like why feel so privileged to be able to have these interviews and to share stories like yours, because it will inspire somebody, a single mom who has transferable skills, to look themselves in the mirror and say, you know what? My why is so strong. I can make this work for myself. And, by no means do you need to join us in OBM school. But I think when you decide to go in on something like this, you get the built-in community. And I think some of the built-in know-how of just, people like us who have gone through it and really made it our own. And it's just been so incredible to see your journey and to be able to like witness, the sort of rebirthing of all the things that have to be in order for us to just have this flexible lifestyle. Because when I first started this gig as well, I was like, well, I want to give my kids a stay-at-home mom, feeling, but like I'm, realistic enough to know that doesn't exist in today's day and age. So I think it's so important to show that like we're making it work with the flexibility and with the freedom. And so if you had one thing to say to somebody, aside from the community that we've already shared about, considering stepping into the OBM role, or like a piece of advice, a little piece of wisdom, what would that be?
It's almost hard to step away from the community piece, but I think if anyone is questioning it, reach out to someone who's an OBM.
Yes.
If you have any questions, because every single OBM that I've met, not just the ones through OBM school, but other OBMs. They have all been willing to give you at least 15 minutes of their time to talk about any questions that you have, to talk about something that they specialize in. The community itself is very welcoming. And I think OBMs in general want to help.
We're just nice people. We're heart of service people. I mean, that's
we want to help
everybody. Yeah,
exactly. So, I mean, if you have any questions, reach out to someone, anyone, whoever you feel like, oh, maybe I would talk to this person. Reach out to them. I am absolutely sure they will give you a few minutes of their time. A lot of times they give you a lot more than that, but no pressure. Like, just reach out and ask questions. And because the community is there, we're ready to help. That's what we do as OBMs, is we help other people. And I think that's the kind of person this really attracts, is someone who wants to help and who wants to, make an impact on other people's lives on whatever scale that is. So reach out.
Yeah. Making an impact is just so important to us. And I think it's wonderful. Well, Muneeba, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on today. I would love for you to share where people can find you if they are looking for an OBM.
Sure. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm there. You can also go to my website at neuronestconsulting.com. You will see my cat on my Facebook and Instagram profile. So
find Muneeba and find her cat. And we will absolutely leave all of this information in the show notes, as well as our YouTube description, so that you can definitely connect. And Muneeba, next time I'm in Toronto, we will definitely have a get together. And I'm looking to do another OBM live like we did a couple years ago, and just hang out and, get out of our pajamas, or maybe do it in our pajamas.
Yeah, that would be great, actually.
Maybe we'll do a pajama party.
Oh my gosh.
It's just such a pleasure catching up with you, and nothing but the best. And I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you,
Muneeba.